Nico Rosberg has retired from Formula 1. Wow. Just wow. What is up, people, and welcome back to This Week in Formula 1. You know, the weekly series where we talk about F1 weekly, which I haven't done for a good couple of weeks. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry if you enjoy these videos and you've been wondering where have they been. I've just been a little bit busy because I like to release these at the weekend on the Sunday. I've just been very busy at the weekend, and I have work and I have football, but you don't really want to know about that. You want to get into the main topic of today's video, and I wasn't really thinking about making one because, you know, last week was the grand finale of the Formula 1 season. Nico Rosberg was the Formula 1 world champion, and I wasn't going to make a video this week because not a lot has happened until this bombshell was dropped by Nico Rosberg in his FIA prize-giving ceremony, or whatever it is, prize-giving thing. He just announced he was retiring, and it was just like, what? I was literally getting ready for work. I was just jumped into the shower, getting ready for work. I get a message from one of my mates in the Pro Formula Racing League group chat, and he's just like, Nico Rosberg's retiring. I'm just like, nah, this is surely a joke. Surely Nico Rosberg, who's just won the World Championship, is not going to retire from the sport. So I went straight onto Twitter, and then I started seeing Sky Sports News, BBC Sport, saying the same thing. And I was just like, maybe it's just like a bit of a rumour that's come somewhere, and they're just jumping straight onto it in case it is real. I was just like, nah, surely it's not real. Still didn't believe it. Until finally I saw he was doing a live video on Facebook, and then I was just like, oh my god, Nico Rosberg has actually retired from Formula 1. I just don't know. I just don't know anymore. I mean, he's just won the World Championship. Yes, I can see why he's done what he wants to do, what every driver who goes into Formula 1, who goes into racing wants to do. Every driver, well, pretty much every driver, I'm pretty sure every driver who's ever done any sort of type of racing, has goals of making racing a career, wants to win the Formula 1 World Championship. He's gone and done that, and I think that he doesn't feel like he's going to win anymore, or if he does, he doesn't really want to be that driver. He doesn't really care about winning multiple championships like Lewis Hamilton, like Fernando Alonso, like Sebastian Vettel does. He just feels like he's done. He's 30 years old. He wants to focus more on his family, which is fair enough. You know, he's got a young family now. He's got a daughter. So, you know, it is fair enough that he does want to leave this sport to help out his family more and be more around the house. So I do understand that. But it's still just like such a shock. I mean, just like straight after winning the World Championship, like not even a week after that's passed, and he's just announced his retirement. It's just like, honestly, what is going on? And then that leaves the huge question of who's going to be racing alongside Lewis Hamilton in that Mercedes seat next season. Now, a lot of people are saying the standard choice would be Pascal Wehrlein because he is a Mercedes development driver. He's a free agent at the moment. Yes, he's kind of on Manor's cards, but he is a free agent. He was on loan for last season. So it's up to Manor whether they want to take him up again for 2017. So he is a free agent, and he could go straight into that Mercedes seat without any problems of contracts or anything like that, and he will happily take that Formula 1 seat. However, I don't think he's experienced enough. He's had one season in the Manor. He is a good choice for them. He's better, in my opinion, than Esteban Ocon, who got that Force India seat, and we'll get onto that in a minute. But I don't think he is experienced enough to be racing in a championship-winning car up against Lewis Hamilton, because it could be something like what happened to Sergio Perez when he got put straight into the McLaren. Yes, that McLaren was underperforming, and it wasn't quite the jump up that Sergio Perez was expecting after leaving Sauber. But I just still don't think that he is experienced enough. He could go into that team and just his confidence could just drop from racing up against Lewis Hamilton. And Lewis Hamilton, you know, you would expect Lewis Hamilton to beat him week on week on week. So yeah, Pascal Wehrlein to Mercedes, I just don't think he's ready yet. So that leaves the question of who else? Who else could drive for Mercedes? A lot of drivers in Formula 1 right now are under contract. The only people that aren't under contract are the likes of people like Esteban Gutierrez, Felipe Nasr. You know, the drivers down at the bottom of the field that you wouldn't expect to drive for Mercedes either. You know, you would rather have someone like Pascal Wehrlein to race for them because he at least has experience and he at least has potential, whereas those guys are sort of just considered, you know, just in there because they're paying for their seat. So other drivers under contract who could potentially race alongside Lewis Hamilton in that Mercedes. Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso is my number one choice at the moment for that Mercedes seat. Why? Yes, he is under contract with McLaren. Yes, they are saying that he hasn't got a release clause, but that's probably a lie. You know, everyone's got a release clause just in case. So Fernando Alonso is my number one for that seat. And because Fernando Alonso is a driver that he doesn't care about teams. He cares about winning his third world championship. That is all he wants above anything else, is to win that third world championship. He doesn't care about whether he's building up McLaren to do that or whether he jumps ship and joins Mercedes. And I think any driver, Mercedes can buy out any driver in the whole entire grid. They've got enough money to do so. They can certainly buy out any driver in that grid. And Fernando Alonso would happily put money towards it. He would happily put money towards the compensation for the contract if it was to drive for Mercedes next season. You know, they're a championship winning team. The only two drivers that I would expect maybe to turn down the offer would be Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo, because with the new regulations coming in next season, with the downforce, I think the Red Bull are going to be a good car next season if the engine deficit isn't too much to Mercedes. That's what's going to cost them at the end of the day, just a Renault engine deficit. But if Mercedes engine doesn't increase too much and Renault sort of keeps the same sort of distance, Red Bull could certainly be in the pack for the championship next season. That would be very exciting to see. But we're talking about Mercedes here. And yes, those two drivers I don't think would leave Red Bull. Maybe Daniel Ricciardo, because there's a little bit of tension between Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo at this stage of the season. So he could possibly go there. But again, he's under contract. But like I said, any driver would just say, yep, just take my money. I'm going to Mercedes. So, yeah, that could possibly happen. There's so many drivers who could drive for this team. It's literally crazy. And it's happened right at the end of the season. Everybody thought silly season was over. It was literally just a case of who's going to be driving for Manor and who's going to be driving for Sauber next season. And so nobody really cared about those two teams. They were intrigued about who were going to be the new prospects joining F1 next season. But no one really was too bothered because they wouldn't be winning championships. Whereas now, this bombshell has dropped and we are thinking who is going to be up against Lewis Hamilton next season. So, Fernando Alonso, definitely a strong choice. Sebastian Vettel. Let's talk about Sebastian Vettel. Now, he is another very strong choice for this seat next season because his relationship with Ferrari is starting to break down, especially with Maurizio Arrivabene. So, it could be interesting for him to leave. You know, Maurizio Arrivabene has said previously that Sebastian Vettel has to earn his contract for 2018. So he is under contract for 2017. But that, again, doesn't really matter too much because they could easily be bought out. And like I've said, drivers would just be like, take my money, I'm going to Mercedes. So Sebastian Vettel, I think, is another top choice. He's very close with Fernando Alonso. I'm pipping more Fernando Alonso because I think Fernando Alonso will push it more. And he is closer to retiring compared to Sebastian Vettel. So if there is a bit of tension between Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso, there may not be that many more years for Fernando Alonso before Pascal Wehrlein is then ready to get into that Mercedes seat. Whereas Sebastian Vettel, he's younger, he's going to be in that sport for a long time still, and him up against Lewis Hamilton, there could still be a lot of tension. That's what a lot of people are talking at the moment. Do Mercedes want to go for two drivers who will be at each other's throats, but will be the best drivers on the grid, which I think you should do, because at the end of the day, yes, you're going to have two drivers who could potentially hate each other, but, you know, as long as you don't keep them near each other outside the track, it doesn't really matter. They're not going to go and take each other out. Let's be serious here. They're not going to just take each other out during the races because they both want to win the World Championship. They are still going to drive their best. They may be a little bit aggressive towards each other on the track, but they're not going to crash each other out. Let's be serious, because they're two very talented drivers at the end of the day, and they want to win the World Championship. So I don't think that is too much of a problem, but I'm not a team manager, so that probably explains that. But Sebastian Vettel, another top choice alongside Fernando Alonso. Now, who else have we got in the ranks? And just touching upon Valtteri Bottas. Valtteri Bottas' name has been mentioned. He's worked with Toto Wolff in the past, so Toto Wolff could want to pick him up. Williams, they don't have to pay too much to get Valtteri Bottas out of his contract compared to the likes of Fernando Alonso and Sebastian Vettel. Valtteri Bottas is a very quick driver, but then that leaves Williams with who else would replace him. And the good point for Williams is because they have a Mercedes engine, they could then give them Pascal Wehrlein and also a discount on their engine for the fee for Valtteri Bottas, or give them money for Valtteri Bottas. So that could be a really good deal, and that could be something that could very much happen. So you've got three very strong options at the moment for who could pick up that seat other than Pascal Wehrlein. Fernando Alonso, who there could be tension between him and Lewis Hamilton. We've seen that in the past, obviously with McLaren. And Jenson Button will probably jump into that seat. However, Jenson Button doesn't really want to race in Formula 1. However, I think any driver that they take from a team, they would probably be like, you know what, we'll take this driver, but you can have Pascal Wehrlein. So that could be a pretty good deal, in all honesty, because Pascal Wehrlein is a good driver, and he just needs a good car. He just needs a good car to develop his progress in Formula 1. So at the moment, we have Fernando Alonso, Sebastian Vettel, and Valtteri Bottas. Who else? Who else could take that seat? One very unlikely driver could be Jenson Button. He's just retired from the sport. He said at the end of Abu Dhabi, he's really happy to take a year off. He's really happy to be away from Formula 1 for a whole year and just, you know, get used to personal life, get used to knowing himself outside of F1. He's really excited not to have a season of F1. So a lot of people are saying that he's definitely not going to be it. It's really unlikely for Jenson Button to come back into the sport. However, the prospect of being in a World Championship winning team could drag him out of that retirement, and he'd be like, okay, maybe I do want to race once more. One more season in Formula 1. And then Pascal Wehrlein comes in 2018. That could be a possibility. However, Jenson Button, you know, it's still that prospect, isn't it, of him saying he doesn't want to race in Formula 1. And if he 100% means that even with the prospect of a World Championship winning team, then he's not going to be taking that Mercedes seat, which is disappointing for me as a huge Jenson Button fan. I obviously want him to do well, and I'd love him to win another championship and love to see him racing in a championship winning car. But it's unfortunately, it's not going to happen, unfortunately. I wish it would, but unfortunately, it's just not going to happen. The only other options really for that seat then that I think Mercedes would like to pick up would be the likes of Daniel Ricciardo or Max Verstappen. You know, Max Verstappen, very, very highly rated Formula 1 drivers. So is Daniel Ricciardo. Both those two drivers are very good. However, you know, like I've said, that Red Bull is going to be a good car next season. Why would they want to leave a car that's going to be good and hopefully challenging for the World Championship to go for another car that's challenging for the World Championship, although that car does have a more likely chance of winning. So it's tough. It's a tough call. I think Daniel Ricciardo would be the more likely choice to go because Red Bull would not. They would not let Max Verstappen go at all. They'd be like, no chance. They would just give Max Verstappen millions and millions and millions just to get him to stay in that Red Bull because they want to keep him. Whereas Daniel Ricciardo, I feel that they're slowly pushing him towards a number 2 driver. The tensions are building between the two drivers, and I think that he could be more inclined to go to that Mercedes seat because he's a little bit more laid back, so he'd be aggressive and he'd be very competitive with Lewis Hamilton in that Mercedes, but he wouldn't be that bad off track with Lewis Hamilton. I think he sort of just keep himself to himself, would not really try and get in Lewis Hamilton's way and stuff like that. So I think that those two could be a good match in. They'd be very competitive drivers and would be very nice to see those two go up for the World Championship. But like I said, that Red Bull is going to be a good car next season. Well, I'm hoping it's going to be a good car. Otherwise, I'm completely messing up this prediction. But I think there's going to be a good car next season. So there wouldn't be a good reason to leave Red Bull to go to Mercedes. So it wouldn't be right to do this video without a little bit of a conspiracy theory as well. A lot of people saying on Twitter and on other stuff saying it was a bit fishy that Esteban Ocon got that Force India drive over Pascal Wehrlein, who did a whole season of Formula 1, whereas Esteban Ocon only did 9 races. And everyone was like, why has Ocon got this seat over Wehrlein? And everyone's saying maybe Mercedes knew that Nico Rosberg was going to do this. He was going to retire if he won the World Championship. So they thought, let's give Force India Esteban Ocon, and if Rosberg retires once he's world champion, we'll take on Pascal Wehrlein. So a lot of people are saying that at the moment. Is that true? It could be. A lot of other people are saying a different conspiracy theory that the people at Mercedes sort of force Nico Rosberg to be world champion to then retire from the sport. I don't think that's true because they're not going to mess up Lewis Hamilton's car. Let's be serious here. They're not going to tamper with Lewis Hamilton's car because at the end of the day, they want to win the Constructors' Championship. So that one's not true. But I think there could be a little bit of truth in the one that about Esteban Ocon getting that drive so they can have Pascal Wehrlein in the Mercedes. But that would only come into effect if Wehrlein got the seat for the Mercedes next year. If another driver on the grid gets that seat for next season, then that conspiracy theory is just thrown straight out the window and is completely not true. Because at the end of the day, why would they make him retire? Why would they give them Ocon to hope that Wehrlein could come into the seat when they didn't pick up Wehrlein anyway? So yeah, we just have to wait and see who takes the Mercedes seat. But it's very exciting. It's a very exciting time in Formula 1. Who's going to take the seat at the biggest team in Formula 1 at the moment? It's really exciting, and it also hypes up next season of what the championship battle is going to be. It was going to be nice to see if Nico Rosberg can defend his title against Lewis Hamilton, but at the end of the day, a new person brought in there, new rivalry, a bit of new blood in Formula 1 It's going to be very exciting to see who will win the championship. So that rounds up this week in Formula 1. Other stuff has happened, but that is the main topic. Nico Rosberg retiring from Formula 1. I don't want to make this video too long, so we will talk about other things in next week's episode. So for now, we're just going to leave this one with the Nico Rosberg retiring from Formula 1, talking about who will take his seat, the conspiracy theories about that. So yeah, that's going to be the end of today's episode. If you have enjoyed it, don't forget to smash that like button. Also, subscribe to this channel if you are new around here. And obviously next week with another This Week in Formula 1. I've also got lots of other content on this channel as well. Season 4 of my career mode will be kicking off on Thursday. It's going to be slightly different. There's going to be a new format to the career mode. So if you enjoy those types of videos from me, then you can certainly get excited for those, because it's going to be a new format. Something that I am starting to get into. Like, I haven't done it before. So it's going to be nice to see. And it's going to be a sort of career mode that keeps on changing. It's going to keep on developing as the season goes on, hopefully. And it's going to change as well for Season 5. So I'm bringing in new stuff to sort of make it a little bit more exciting. So if you do enjoy those videos, get excited for that, because that will be coming very, very soon, starting this Thursday. So that's it from me. I will see you next week with another F1 2016 discussion video. But until then, it's goodbye from me.